You're back with us at Monza. The Italian Grand Prix has been won by the Colombian Juan Pablo Montoya in a Williams, Barrichello second in the Ferrari, Ralf Schumacher third in the second Williams, and joining us now, Williams technical director Patrick Head. 2 out of 3, not bad, Patrick.
Yes, very pleased with that. Very pleased for Juan Pablo, obviously, who's been knocking on the door for quite some time this year. And a little disappointed we didn't get a 1-2, but Ralf, who was very quick in the race, had a few problems, a little bit of problems with blisters on his rear tyres that happened very suddenly. And so it meant he couldn't hold on to his second position.
We looked at you early in the race, and it looked as though those Ferraris had the legs on you, and one or two people thought that you might be struggling with the tyres. Did you realise that Ferrari were on a two-stopper?
No. We thought it was possible, but no, we didn't. I mean, you don't really know. We knew that they were quick, but obviously when they came in so early and we saw how much time they took to putting fuel in there, then it was clear they were on a two-stop.
You've won here in the traditional fashion, haven't you? Go as far as you can, have one stop and then rush for home.
Well, it's probably traditional because it's the best way, really. I think Ferrari maybe had a little bit of brake problems or something, and that maybe chased them into a two-stop.
Give us your assessment of Juan Pablo Montoya up here in the studio, Patrick. We've all been wondering, when is he going to win a Formula One race? Was he getting a little bit desperate to do so?
Well, he didn't show any signs of desperation, but I mean, he's been on pole for 3 of the last 4 Grand Prix, so it was obviously coming, and obviously the things that happened in the team on Sunday at Spa didn't help his situation there, but anyway, it all worked out fine for him today, and he's done a fantastic job. And obviously we're a little bit subdued with obviously the events in America, but as well as that, hearing about Alex Zanardi's accident that he had yesterday, we're all very sad about.
Absolutely, and of course all we are as well, Patrick. I just want to ask you about one thing, going back to the start of the race. The drivers did not want to overtake, or some of them, over the first couple of chicanes, and presumably you, as one of the team bosses, said, we are here to race. Is that right?
I have to say I didn't get involved in that discussion. There were obviously discussions going on, and obviously the events of the previous week and the events of the first lap last year were heavy on everybody's minds, and obviously the start and the entry to the first couple of tight corners is the most critical time, but some people might say the most exciting time of a race meeting. But anyway, it was a debate more amongst the drivers and the FIA.
Was it your impression that all the drivers were going flat out from the start, or was there a bit of confusion there, do you feel?
No, I think they were all going flat out. I don't think that there was any agreement, but luckily there was very limited problem at the first corner. I think Trulli got sideways under braking, but generally it was reasonably clear first lap.
There's one other question I'd like to throw to you as we look ahead a couple of weeks. The American Grand Prix at Indianapolis, there is a debate raging down the pit lane that we're going to reflect a bit later on. Where do you and where do Williams stand in regard to taking your team to the American Grand Prix in a couple of weeks?
Well, I think it's really a matter for the Americans and the organised to decide. I'm sure there are significant and complex security matters, and obviously the Americans have got to make sure that they're satisfied that their security requirements are covered. But I mean, it is what we do. We are a professional racing team, and the drivers are drivers, and it's just they do that as opposed to work in other professions, and I'm sure an awful lot of work and study will be done to see that the required security levels can be achieved. If that can be satisfied, then we should be racing at Indianapolis.
You'll be aware that one of your drivers, Ralf Schumacher, has made it very plain he's not happy about going.
Yes, I mean, I think every individual will have their own opinion, but I think we will have to be advised by people handling security in America, and we'll obviously take our judgment with the rest of the Formula One teams.
Patrick, appreciate you joining us. I appreciate I've thrown quite a few topics at you in a very short time. A couple of weeks is a long time in Formula One, isn't it? After what happened in Spa, you've had a much better weekend here, haven't you?
Yes, we've all been feeling sick as a parrot, as they say, for the last 14 days or so, 13 days, or sick as parrots. But obviously the events on Sunday made us look rather stupid, but down one time, up another. That's one of the beauties of this game. There are 17 races, and they're all to an equal level of equal deserve.
And a bit of satisfaction beating Ferrari on the home ground?
I think beating Ferrari anywhere is good. I don't think it makes much difference whether it's Monza or anywhere else. But Ferrari are a class act, and they're the class team at the moment. And getting in there and beating them, it means the team's doing a pretty good job.
Well done, Patrick. Thanks very much indeed.
Good. Thanks, Jim.
It's time now to go to the press conference. We'll hear from the top three, from Ralf Schumacher, from Rubens Barrichello, and from Juan Pablo Montoya.
Juan Pablo, many making quite interesting.
Good victory here for Juan Pablo Montoya. When you rejoin us, Mark Blundell and Tony Jardine are going to have their say about the Italian Grand Prix. See you shortly. Welcome back to Monza. Juan Pablo Montoya has won the Italian Grand Prix. I asked you at the end of qualifying, you remember, Mark, who's going to win the race? And you said the full Monty. Juan Pablo, well done.
Well, he delivered, but actually I think it's one apiece for me and Tony. Tony came up with Hakkinen, and I said Montoya's going to be the boy this year, so we're one apiece. Yeah,
score draw at the moment. We were all debating the start before the race, what would happen. Was it a genuine start, do you think, from your point of view?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there was any situation which really didn't take away from being a genuine start, but the outcome of it was a little bit interesting for the first corner. Button made a tremendous start with the launch control, very effective for the Benetton, but big slip up as he went into the corner. You know, his comments there on picking up a bit of cement dust, I don't think are really going to rub when he gets back to the Benetton camp. He went in too deep, collected Trulli, and put himself up the race, and Trulli as well. So a little bit of a disappointment there, and a shame. But apart from that, the start was clean, and a great race.
Jenson Button going down the inside there, Tony, and taking out next year's teammate, Jarno Trulli.
Yeah, I think this is unfortunate for Jens, because he needed points today, he needed to convert them. You know, he is under threat from Flavio Briatore, and make this great start. You say the launch control's been really improved by Tad Chapsky. He's an electronics expert who was with Ferrari Benetton before. He's gone back to Benetton. But as you said, with the teammates, in terms of Trulli, and this is Michael Schumacher. This is the guy who wasn't going to do any overtaking. He was trying to get the drivers to be really safe, you know, through the first two chicanes. Look at him determinedly getting past his brother there. Truly being pushed away. The guy's going to be teammates to Jenson next year. Jenson, as Mark said, has got a lot of explaining to do. It'll put him back in the danger zone.
I mean, he's got to be under the cosh now. That there must be a genuine chance that they'll boot him out, despite the contract.
Yeah, and then after this, and when he had the blow-up, not long afterwards, but, you know, he had to go into the pits for a new nose cone, and back out he comes. Yes, he will be in the danger zone here, and he could be moved on to another team. How the contract is, I don't know, but he needed a good result today. He didn't get it.
Quite a few early casualties in this race. David Coulthard, his Mercedes engine didn't last too long, did it?
No, which is a worry. It's a worry that the engine's letting go at this stage of the season. You know, big plume of smoke there, and the rear wheels locked up, as Martin pointed out in the commentary. Luckily, no damage. You know, when the rear wheels lock up like that, it can send you in the barrier with quite a bang. But engine shouldn't be going at that stage of the year. It should be reliability by then. And that second place in the World Championship, he's under threat there now from Rubens, isn't he? Yeah, very much so. And Rubens has got the bit between his teeth, and the Ferrari's very strong, and Ferrari want to get him that second place. So it's all out for that second place, and DC is losing it quickly. Sure, they were flying early on, weren't they, Tony, those Ferraris, and Barrichello took Montoya. Now we know why, because he was two-stopping, I guess.
Yeah, but also it's a fact that with these Michelin front tyres particularly, they did it at Spa, they've done it here during the warm-up. they run the tyres in as much as they can to stop them graining during the race and to try and prevent the understeer. And you're trying to control the temperature on the tread and keep the durability at the same time. And that's what Michelin have been trying to do. So I'm sure Tim Preston, his engineer, would have been talking to him, look, you know, maybe sussed that Ferrari are going very, very fast. Maybe they're on two, just let him through, just, you know, look after your tyres, because we're one stopping.
And we spoke about the brakes before the off, and Ferrari had to look after their brakes, and perhaps that forced them into that strategy.
I think that was the key to it. Yeah, it really is. And the performance is there because they're always going to run light fuel loads. You know, the Williams are running a heavy fuel load that puts a lot more wear and tear on the tyres, but they did very well. But Ferrari, yes, they have got a brake issue, and Indianapolis may show up to be the problem as well.
It came as a heck of a surprise to us, didn't it, when Michael Schumacher, first of all, pulled in for that early pit stop, and he had a pretty good one, but not so Rubens Barrichello when he followed him.
Well, most confusing there. Obviously, a little bit of confusion between the mechanics and the team. Picked up the wrong fuel nozzle by the looks of it, and very, very costly. And I think it is true to say that that probably did cost Rubens Barrichello the opportunity to win this race.
Do you agree with that, Tony?
Well, yeah, but the first thing that we spotted this morning during the warm-up, and we only spotted it through the little spy camera on the digital, was the Ferrari set of brakes actually on fire. Little flames coming out through the front. And that means they were really stressed, and that probably caused the two-stop that they said. But when you saw those Ferrari mechanics with the fuel hose dallying around, I thought, well, why don't they move really, really quick? And they didn't seem to move fast at all. But they have complained about the Intertechnic refueling equipment this year. You remember in Germany with Juan Pablo, they couldn't get the nozzle on. They lost 30 seconds. Because the engine was standing for 30 seconds, it then blew up 2 laps later. So there have been complaints by the team. Who knows what was wrong?
Right, OK. Well, Mika Häkkinen, his final Monza for a little while, perhaps for all time, and ground to all. He never does that well round here, does he, Mika, anyway?
Yeah, you know, it's just the end of his year is quite sad in a way. He's just not getting any results, and it's really a sad day to see him not finish on a high note. I mean, he didn't even have a good start to his race. He went backwards slightly, I think, mainly because of the first corner start. But, you know, gearbox issues there for him. Bad day for McLaren all over.
Well, we all wondered then if Rubens Barrichello could build a big enough cushion to give him a chance to stop again and win the race, and it was always pretty unlikely, Tony, wasn't it?
It was, but you know, he did have a fabulous car underneath him. It was set up beautifully, and the sort of nonchalant Michael Schumacher this weekend showed that even though his mind wasn't fully on the job, he could be competitive, and yet Rubens was superb. He was faultless all weekend. And then, even after he'd come in for the splash and dash, he went out there and he caught up Ralf Schumacher, you know, and he got past him with a fabulous manoeuvre. Here we are, look at this. Got back out, but unfortunately at that stage he dropped to third place, but he closed in and got within about 5 seconds of Montoya towards the end.
Yeah, and in the meantime he overtook Ralf Schumacher, sort of forced his way by Ralf Schumacher, really, didn't he?
Well, I think he just set him up very nicely coming at the parabolic. He got the slipstream, took him all the way down deep into that first chicane there, and Ralf tried to drag him in. I'm going to outbrake you, but it didn't come off. A little bit of a cheat there across the green surface there, which isn't racetrack. And luckily, or fortunately for Williams as well, he gave up the position, rightly so as well. Otherwise it would have been a penalty, and today wouldn't have been that good. But nice bit of driving by Rubens, very good indeed. You see, you get the slipstream, extra few revs. It's only a matter of 1 or 2 miles an hour that makes that difference, but it all counts when you get into that first corner.
And Rubens Barrichello will feel that he should have won this motor race, but Juan Pablo Montoya, the man who has come first at Monza. Jacques Villeneuve made his point, 6th place in the British-American racing team. Here he is with Lou.
Jacques, congratulations on the result. Very valuable point at this stage in the season.
Yeah, very, very valuable, mainly because we were very slow in qualifying, but somehow the car was a lot quicker in the race. It's a shame that we didn't put enough fuel at the pit stop, and I couldn't attack at the end.
Tell me about the start, because you were one of the few drivers that held the view that you should be racing here. Why was that?
Why? Because we are race car drivers, because we signed contracts before the season, and everybody was happy to be a race car driver and to earn millions of dollars. Because we knew a year ago that there was a race in Monza and nobody complained, and everybody well, the discussion started Sunday morning somehow. And what you have to think about is there's people in the grandstand that saved their money for 6 months to come to see a race.
You obviously hold a very strong opinion on this.
Yeah, I'm a racer at heart. And all my life I grew up dreaming about being a race car driver. And that's what I am. The day I don't feel like it anymore, I'm not going to stay in just to make money. I will just quit.
The opposing view was that this was a safety issue. What was your answer to that?
Then every race start should be done, shouldn't happen. basically. Monaco is much more dangerous, and there's other tracks that are much more dangerous than this. So there was no reason to do it here.
Animated and absolutely convinced. Any arguments from you on that?
No, I'm in agreement with Villeneuve. And the one guy who was making all the fuss was Michael Schumacher, and it's somewhat easy to do when you've just cleaned up the World Championship. You know, we don't have to forget that point.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Mark. It should then be next stop Indianapolis for the American Grand Prix in a fortnight. Indy is ready to go. Contrasting views, though, up and down the pit lane. James Allen reporting.
The talk in the paddock throughout the weekend has been whether the American Grand Prix at Indianapolis can or should go ahead. Many people, including the two Schumacher brothers, have made it clear they feel it's an unnecessary risk to travel to the United States, and many in the paddock share that view.
I'm scared. So it's basically obviously decision. You know, I'm professional, so obviously it's not my decision. Are we gonna go there or not? I feel that way still. The teams should be very, very clever and to really put their heads to 100% together to understand is it right or wrong.
But the message from the team owners and the sport is clear. Formula One's roadshow will go to Indianapolis.
I don't think we should give in as a sport, as individuals, to any form of terrorism. And I think if we just give up and say, right, we're not going, we're giving in to terrorism.
Logistically, there seem to be a few problems. Flying the fuel out is one concern, and new American restrictions on air freight will add to the time it takes to get cars and equipment out to the States.
I think it's going to be very, very tough. Apparently, we have to X-ray every piece of equipment, and every piece of equipment's right down to cars. And my understanding, there's only 2 X-ray machines in Europe big enough to take these parts, and one is in Amsterdam, the other one's in Luxembourg. We'll have to get the equipment off maybe a day earlier, but we're willing to do it. I think it's important to have that race.
Big problems, I think, will be, of course, when the stuff gets to the airport and people have to handle it from that point on.
Do you foresee any problems?
I couldn't tell you. I really don't know. I mean, we'll get the stuff to the airport and we'll get it there as requested, and we'll see what happens then.
A meeting of team owners on Friday confirmed the decision to travel and agreed that one car in every team will run unbranded at Indianapolis as a mark of respect. So far, America's declaration of war on Saturday doesn't seem to have affected things. Fred Nation, Vice President of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, told ITV he doesn't expect the American government to stop the race. But it depends on how the military situation develops in the coming week. Throughout this weekend, racing has been secondary in most people's thoughts. However, they're all hardened professionals and they'll do whatever the teams and Bernie Ecclestone and Formula One say they should do. The message then going forward with America in 2 weeks' time is Formula One is ready to come. It's now up to the Americans to decide whether the race will go ahead.
Thank you very much indeed, James. It's a very, very difficult situation and everyone has their own views. Tony, what do you feel about going to the States?
Well, I think the Americans clearly want Formula One to come over there. They want the race to go ahead, and I think if they can get round the logistical problems, I think it should go ahead and we should all go there and get on with the show.
And Mark, you've raced over there many times. I chatted to Indianapolis Speedway last night. They are very keen. They say they're ready. But the situation is changing all the time. Your views, though?
I've lived there for the last 5 years, and I can feel from there, but I think everything will be okay. In terms of sporting events, they've cancelled everything this weekend in the US, but next weekend it will be back to normal, and that's how it should be.
Okay. Do you think it's important to make a statement, Tony, for everyone to go over there?
Yeah, I think it is, because, you know, saying that Formula One, if it has to stop, then they win. But you go over there with a mark of respect, as I said, with every other car running unbranded. I mean, one goes there with your head bowed, but you get on with it.
Okay, I think it's going to be logistics of getting everybody there and back that could be the crucial point. Of course, the situation changing all the time. Highlights of the Italian Grand Prix coming your way just before midnight tonight, and that programme repeated. ITV2, as always, just before 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. So then BMW Williams stay the course. At the end of a very difficult weekend, we acclaim Juan Pablo Montoya, F1 winner. Bye-bye.
Formula One on ITV in association with Texaco.
If you'd like to know more about Formula One, the website address sponsored by Foster's is www.itv-f1.com.